Today we're going to talk about resources for fine motor skills, strengthening, building fine motor skills for preschoolers, for kindergartners, first grade, for children that have unique abilities, special needs. Now, I am a former public and private school teacher. I am a homeschool mom of 4, and I do homeschool evaluations for the state of Florida. My youngest daughter does have Down syndrome, and so lately we've been spending a lot of time in this developing fine motor skills world. In general, when it comes to building those skills, there's nothing quote unquote different with what I'm doing with Naomi, who has Down syndrome, than if the child didn't have a disability. The only difference really is that I spend more time doing it. And so that's why I'm kind of really into this, and I know a lot of, and I have a lot of resources that I'm going to share with you. I'm also going to make a video about developing those fine motor skills. I'm going to put that video down in the description box below, also iCard. I'm going to try to remember to do that. If not, you can write me a comment and bug me about it. So the fine motor skills are going to work everything from your fingertips, strengthening, flexibility, control, wrist, even the arm. And so, first resource that everybody knows is Play-Doh. We make a lot of snakes with these, okay? And I think it's just, fine motor skills. One of the most important thing educationally with fine motor skills is writing. I mean, there's a lot of things like eating with a fork, fine motor skills are super important for that. There's a lot of other practical things, but in education, we're talking the writing. And so we like to make with Play-Doh snakes. So we've got her doing this thing, and she will actually take these snakes or sticks, and she will form the letters in her name. We will also do this with shapes. Sometimes we just want to smush it. That's a lot with her sensory processing stuff, getting the feeling for how hard or how soft she's pushing it, also building that finger strength in there. So Play-Doh is just a great resource. There's lots of different things. Let me know if, seriously, let me know if you want a video just on Play-Doh and fine motor, because there's probably a million things I could do with this. So Play-Doh is another thing, using glue. So anytime you take paper, so we have a lot of construction paper over here, and this is just a great resource. It is cheap. Take the construction paper, rip it up into tiny shreds. So when you're ripping paper, you're literally having to pinch and pull with your wrist in different areas. And so we do this where we pull it, she will crumple it up, right? Make it really, really tiny. And of course, that process of making it tiny, pushing on that paper, building finger strengths. With the glue bottle, she has to be able to control how much glue comes out of the tip. And that does take a lot of awareness, a lot of control. And then she takes her wand, sticks it on paper. We make lots of different things. We made a watermelon the other day with this. It's very cheap. It's very effective. It's fun. They don't even realize that they are working their fine motor skills or building skills to help them with their pre-writing. The next thing I have are these letters. So stringing beads. That's a resource in and of itself. And I absolutely love this bucket of letters, because not only is she working on her fine motor skills by having to grab the string, pinch it, and then really hand-eye coordination, get that in there, right? But she's also building words. How many times have we actually written out her name with these letters? We also, any of these type of games where you have to use tweezers, this one's great because we're working on counting as well, so you get a little math in there. But it comes with a little bucket, and she has to squeeze this, stick it in there, pull it out, and then place it right here. Okay, and we count them. We will match colors. We will alternate colors, create patterns. So this is very mathematical, but also developing those fine motor skills. Also, another thing that we'll do along the same kind of lines as this game in particular is sorting out these guys. We're going to get that squeeze, grab, and move it to wherever you want to move it. This one, we were doing big and small. You can also do different colors, sorting colors. You can put numbers on top of them. Just kind of play around a lot. This is just the cheap dollar store version. $2 right here, $2 instead of $10 for a game. You're getting the same thing out of it. and you can get really creative with these. Okay, I do love Wiki Sticks. If you have not seen these, they will last you forever, sort of. I mean, they have. I've had these forever, it feels like. Look, these are great because you're doing some phonics, building those letters, and they're having to stick them on here. So they're having to manipulate this really sticky string, which is great for sensory processing. But once you get it on there, they have to push on there in order for it to actually stick. Sometimes they'll need to bend it for it to fit the letter properly. Now, some people will cut the Wiki Sticks to match the length of the letter, but you don't have to. Just a lot of finger manipulation with matching this. You can do shapes. They have some with shapes. They have some with letters, with numbers. They're great. You can also just get creative with them and, you know, design things with them, right? These are my favorite puzzles in the entire universe. Ironically, showing you a outer space one. Yeah, okay. But in the entire universe, my favorite. I love these puzzles. They came in a pack of 3, but I believe you can get them on Amazon now with, like, I think pack of 6s. So this one, what I did, first of all, puzzles are great, especially doing it on your stomach. It takes a lot more work for a child to do puzzles or anything laying on their stomach, but it is so good for them. So what I did is when I bought them, I actually laminated this guy so we didn't have any issues. And this thing fits so nicely into a Ziploc baggie. Look at these puzzles right now. Every single piece has some kind of creature, right? So this is a cow. It's shaped like a cow. This one, you've got a bumblebee. I've also got a cat right here. And they're all like this. They're not your typical interlocking puzzle pieces. What's great about that is I can take this paper right here and I said, okay, we're gonna find that bumblebee puzzle piece. Let's look for the bumblebee. And so then when she finds the bumblebee, we know that it's gonna actually go up in the upper corner, which matches this. So it's not your typical interlocking puzzle. It builds shapes, it's fun, it's different. I don't know, it's just so good. Even when I showed my OT what she had, our occupational therapist was like, I need that. Where did you get this? I had to send the link to my occupational therapist because she thought it was so cool. So I love these puzzles. I'll stick a link down below. So having control with your hands, how far you move them forward, you know, cut and paste. Yeah. Now with Naomi, what we have done, because her fine motor skills, she needs help. We got these amazing scissors. And preschool, this is great too. So she actually will stick her fingers in here, and I will literally rest my hand above her wrist and put them behind hers. And so I can actually help her guide, even get her in the correct wrist position with the cutting with these scissors, and then teach her how to manipulate her other hand. Cutting is so good for fine motor skills, especially with developing the wrist, the fingers, knowing when to stop, knowing how to just, it's all manipulation and it's all fine motor. It's just, there's so many elements of it. That's great. So cut and paste. I love this book right here, the Flash Kids Preschool Activities. I have another one with writing that we use. That one's upstairs, but I will put a link for both of these books down in the description box below. Mazes is another thing because they're not actually writing letters, but they are able to stop and go and manipulate on the page with a writing utensil. We also have this one, getting into some writing utensils. This is a pencil control book, my first book of patterns, and it is going to be the smaller patterns like this. I mean, of course, you got the stop and go, but you can see it does get more and more difficult as we go, but it's really fun because there's animals and lollipops and worms and ladybugs, and it's fun. And this one seems to be taking a lot longer to go through. They also have some other things, not with just shapes, but with different letters and numbers as well. So I will stick a link to this one as well. Now, I got a little bit inspired because I've been doing all of these things, and I actually have been putting together some fine motor worksheets that I started putting up on Teacher Pay Teachers. Now, a lot of this is inspired because a lot of this is secular, and being a believer, being a Christian, I want something that can intertwine some of my faith into it. So I have those available. This was one of my inspirations right here. This is me, you know, doing the thing, right? But then I actually have a worksheet that does this, right? Where they have the words, God made flowers, and then she's going up because flowers grow upwards and we're going upwards. So this is just kind of an example. Of course, it's a worksheet. I also have the rainbow with the different colors. Also, another thing that's really good for fine motor skills is board games. If you can play a board game with them, they're having to move the pieces with their hand. Fine motor skills right there. And I really think any board game, oh, Hi-Ho Cheerios, yes. Like, there you got the pinching, okay? That's a great one. Also, we do these with Naomi. She actually will manipulate through all of this, and we will do this as a matching game with the word. So we're doing two things. We're doing the reading and the fine motor skills with this. When it comes to writing utensils, every child needs to have kind of their favorite one. It really, there's lots of different philosophies out there on what to use for the child. The big, thick crayons, the thin crayons, the small ones. I know, for example, Handwriting Without Tears is big on the little tiny crayons, the flip it crayons, because they're like little hands. So little utensils, which, you know what, their philosophy is great for certain kids. But other kids that really, really, really are struggling with those fine motor skills and need to have the bigger utensils to gradually move them into those smaller things. Naomi's a big fan of markers. And so I've got, let me kind of show you this whole little thing that we have. But they come in a little carousel like this. She loves to dump it and put them back, so it's like a little game for her. I love this. They're the perfect size for her little fingers, right? They're thick, they're bigger, but they're also short. So, you know, the big ones are way out here. But this way it's in her hand and it's not clunky. We also do have, of course, these washable, extra large kind of crayon things. She is not a fan of crayons. And I do think it comes down to sensory processing disorder. I mean, crayons feel funny when you're very sensitive. So she always leans towards the markers, but we do have these guys here. This is what we use, is this carousel of markers, and these when I really feel like pushing her. She has, dry erase markers are so good. so good. In fact, we have a dry erase board where she will get the dry erase marker and she will just draw. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna move you over to that area of our little classroom. This is kind of like her little nook where she works, but I'm gonna move you over there because I got some more fine motor stuff I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I'm on the other side of the cabinet, but I did want to show you, you know, a lot of it's erased right now, but she will literally come over here and take a dry erase marker and just she loves drawing little circles, and you know, we try not to draw on the wall, but it happens. Alcohol will get this out. I hope so. The problem that I have, the only difficulty with this is that sometimes I don't pay attention and she leaves the dry erase marker out, and then that dry erase marker is gone, which they're pretty expensive. So, you know, there's that. I have two of these because they're at two different levels. One is more of a beginner's. So obviously the box is completely destroyed. That means we use it. So go me. These are button nails, all right? And they're pretty big. You can kind of see the size of the hole. It's gonna take less effort to get them in. And what's really nice is they've got a couple different designs and it's coordinating colors. When she started doing this, and this may actually be something that you come up against, when she started doing this, it was completely overwhelming for her because she saw this, she saw all these holes, and it was a lot of work for her to have to get it in the hole. Not only that, but push it down. And she didn't even want to try to match the colors. Like, she fought me. Now she does this super easy piece of cake. She's kind of bored with it, but it is a good warm-up tool for her. I always do some kind of fine motor activity that's fun with her in the beginning to just get her warmed up, okay, before we do any of our schoolwork and writing. But this is a nice, good, easy one. I'll put a link again down in the description box below. But we have progressed, and just like when she started that one, this one is very overwhelming for her as well. So it's from Gear Toys. This is kind of what it looks like. It doesn't color coordinate like the other one does, but you do want to match the colors, if that makes sense, right? Like you don't really see a rainbow starfish in nature. And like, whoops, it's upside down. But a giraffe's neck is not like that color. But either way, you still match the colors. And there's a lot more of these holes. And when you look at the actual pegboard itself, you can see it's a lot smaller. And the pegs itself are a lot smaller. So there's a lot more with the fine motor skills. These also, which is fun, they have little gears that they can kind of play with. I mean, first of all, these come in plastic bags. I feel like I should be showing you. Let me just kind of show you the inside of the tray. But there's like little gears, so you can start doing gear stuff with them, which is really, really fun. But this one is a little bit more challenging for her, and she fights me on this one because it's hard for her. Now, but it's great. It's great at building the fine motor skills, and I have faith that one day, just like with the original button nails that were difficult for her, one day she's gonna take off and find this one fun. So, like I mentioned before, my youngest daughter is in first grade and she does have Down syndrome. Developmentally, she is at a preschool level with her fine motor skills, and that's to be expected, maybe earlier than preschool. But, you know, it's hard for her, a lot of these things, but we do have our favorites. And just to share with you some of our favorites, so, you know, maybe give you some ideas, right? She loves drawing. This is definitely behind me. One of her favorite things to do is to dry out my dry erase markers. The other thing that she loves to do is cutting. I haven't figured out why, but there's something so satisfying for her about cutting things. She's always just cutting, and I have to keep scissors away from her on a very frequent basis. I've always been scared she's gonna cut her hair, but she hasn't done that yet. So I'm not gonna let her watch this video so she doesn't get any ideas. So she loves the games. I didn't show you this one, but this is one of her favorite things to play with. This is a ladybug number match game. And as you can see, it's got, you know, shapes here, and she'll fit them on the shapes. This is easy for her too at this level. Just because something gets easy for a child, it doesn't mean that it's time to throw it out. Let them have their independent time playing with those items. It's actually a very good thing for them to do, because one thing, it builds confidence and gives them some independence, but it's also strengthening those muscles still. So that about sums it up. Like I said, I'm kind of on a fine motor kick. I'm gonna put a playlist right up here for you to check out some of those other videos. I am also gonna stick a video right there if you guys are interested of me working specifically with my daughter on some things on homeschool. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.